If you've been following some of my recent posts, you'll see that I've committed to sharing 12 leadership insights every Tuesday. And although I primarily serve people who are in the building and facilities industry, these insights are for any leader that's looking to create a better company culture, encourage effective communication, and build team collaboration. The first insight was on mindset, emphasizing why a growth mindset is needed. The second insight was on the importance of leadership identity so that you can discover who you want to be as a leader. And today is on cultivating success through resilience. The principles associated with resilience applies to practically anything. It doesn't matter if you own a business, are trying to start one, leading a team, it doesn't matter. You must be prepared to deal with failure in order to succeed, because the true success is determined by your capacity to recover quickly from those inevitable failures. See, when I decided to leave corporate and start my training and consulting company, I can't tell you how scary it was to, one, walk away from a great salary, and two, to not stop worrying about all of those unknowns. But before I took the leap, I reached out to fellow business owners for advice. And of the many books that were suggested, there were two that prepared me for understanding and dealing with failure. The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber helped me understand why so many, I have to say, uncommitted, short-lived businesses have failed. And Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins taught me how resilient entrepreneurs succeeded despite the many failures they encountered. The story that Tony Robbins shared about Soichiro Honda not only gave me the courage to take that leap of faith, it also taught me what true resilience means. You see, in 1938, while Mr. Honda, Soichiro Honda, was still in school and following his passion, he sold everything he owned and invested it into a small workshop where he started to develop his concept of a special piston ring that he wanted to sell to Toyota. He worked day and night and sometimes slept in that workshop. At one point, even pawned his wife's jewelry just to stay in business. When he finally finished his piston ring, he was told they didn't meet Toyota's standards. He was sent back to school for 2 years. His instructors and students, other people laughed at his ideas. But what did he do? He turned down the volume of all the noise, because I'll tell you, you sometimes need to do that. Fortunately, after the 2 years, Toyota gave him the contract he was asking for. Then a new problem happened. The Japanese government was getting ready to go to war, and they refused to give him the concrete for his factory. He didn't give up. He and his team developed a way to create their own concrete, and he eventually built his own factory. During the war, his factory was bombed not once, but twice. He immediately had his team pick up the remains of the gasoline tanks that were left behind by the US fighters. He called it gifts from President Truman. Those tanks provided the raw, unavailable materials he needed at that time for his manufacturing. After all of this, an earthquake leveled his factory. He finally sold his piston ring operation to Toyota. Other people would have probably stopped at this point, but he didn't stop there. After the war, a massive gasoline shortage hit Japan, and Soichiro Honda couldn't even drive his car to get food for his family. Out of desperation, he attached a small motor to his bicycle as a way to get around. When his neighbors started seeing this, they asked if they could get one of those motorized bikes. He ended up running out of motors. He then decided to build a plant for his new invention, but he didn't have the capital at this point. So what did he do? He reached out to the 18,000 bicycle shop owners in Japan by writing them all a personalized letter, enrolling them in the idea on how they can play a part of the revitalization of Japan. 5,000 of them said yes and helped. After a couple of attempts, he produced the Super Cub. His overnight success gained him the Emperor's Award. And eventually in the 1970s is when the vehicles that we see on the road today came about. In 1991, when Tony Robbins shared this story in his book, Honda had over 100,000 employees in the United States and Japan, outselling all vehicle manufacturers except Toyota. That story provided 3 lessons for me: believing in yourself, the expectation of failures, and the resilience required in anything we do. One of the main reasons people fail is because they give up too easily and don't reassess their approach when things aren't working. When you take on a leadership role, it's very rare to get 100% buy-in all the time. It may seem impossible at first because you're dealing with so many different personalities, some who are willing to go above and beyond, some who's looking to do the bare minimum, and those who often do less than minimum. If you don't empower those superstars who want to go above and beyond, they end up leaving. And when they leave, you're left with those who are doing bare minimum and less than minimum. As much as some people in facilities think automation will solve all problems, the reality is that we're not there yet. We need to develop those internal superstars into leaders. Let them know that they will fail, but teach them how to change their approach and try something new. They have to get buy-in from others in their team and continue to test until they find out what works and what doesn't. The end goal is to have them help build a better culture in the workplace. Many studies have shown that people don't always leave because of money. Yes, it is a primary factor, but it's not the only reason. Most of the time, it's company culture and them not being appreciated for their talents. If you want to effectively lead your team to success, find the potential in those superstars and help develop it. I hope Soichiro Honda's story has inspired you the way it inspired me. You can see me next Tuesday when I share insight number 4 to this 12-part leadership series. I hope you make it an amazing week, and I'll see you then. Bye.